This is chaoticradio.com.
Welcome to the Dan Rupp Show with a focus on recovery, but as you know, we do more than just that. So here I have a guest tonight, a very special guest. He is a city council member, I believe 2 terms?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and also a former business owner. I don't know what happened with your brothers. I know your younger brother, but the Felipe Winery.
Yes, sir.
Which is in Rancho Cucamonga. And he's also a wine expert. And so if you're like in recovery and listening to this show, that's fine. But Gino, welcome to the show, and Big Mike.
Good evening.
What's up?
Thanks for coming down the hill.
You're welcome. I brought a gift for Big Mike. I figure any person that would come in on a night like this. So we have a bottle of Brandt Family Winery Petite Syrah for Big Mike.
All right, I love it.
That way when you get back up that hill, that 2-3 hour drive up the hill, you could kick back and have yourself I would say a glass of wine, but I think you'll probably have a bottle of wine.
I'll have the whole bottle, but yeah, it's going to be a hectic drive with the rain, the cold. It's probably going to be icy. I don't know if they're going to shut down the Cajon. I don't know, but hold on one second. We have a phone call, so go ahead and talk.
Hey, who was that band you were playing as you opened your show?
That was the Dead Kennedys.
I remember listening to them. Now, do they play a song called "I Want to Be Jackie Onassis"? You know that song?
Yeah, I know the song. I just want to be like Jackie Onassis. No.
Yeah.
Are we? Is he on air? The phone caller. Okay, let me unmute it. Phone caller, are you there?
Yep, phone caller's here. This is Eric Gavin.
Eric Gavin, what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, my man. How you doing? I heard you've got a city council member on there that's on the show.
Yes. Gino's here.
All right.
Is it still
Mr.
raining?
Felipe.
Is it still raining up there in the Badlands of Upland?
It is. It is.
I made it
I think
down.
we're going to survive.
I made it down here. It's he's in the far reaches of Rancho over here. There's even there's street lights here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gino took his kayak out here.
Yeah, what's that rule about 6 inches of water is enough to drown you or something? I've seen some, they're passing that around all over the place.
Oh, thankfully I made it down okay, and Gino made it here okay. Now it's just the ride home we have to worry about. So.
Awesome.
Hey, go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say we got a lot of homeless people up in those storm drains and washes and everything. And in fact, I'm pretty sure some of the police might have been out there saying, like, hey, making sure everyone's safe. I know you wanted to hear about some stuff that we're doing with homelessness, but boy, this rain is going to be really killer.
So what are we doing? Are we collecting clothes or blankets or sleeping bags? What's going on?
Well, that's been an effort that's always gone on, and it is something that does continue because they have needs. But what we're trying to do as a city is kind of take a broader, longer-term, more comprehensive approach where we don't just want to provide temporary helps to people to keep them on the street. We instead want to do all the things that are really necessary to get them off the street. And so while that might mean sitting down with somebody and having a meal or donating a jacket when they need it, what that's really doing is building the trust and the rapport that we need to get their stories, to help them get information from them so we can find them places to transition to and get off the streets.
Yeah, I understand the plight because I've been to Memorial Park, and when all the homeless were there, I don't know what the conditions of it are now, but there's a huge problem there, and for some reason people will open up to me because, I'm an addict, an alcoholic and an addict, recovering, and that seems to be a problem. Heroin and meth just seem to be a big problem, and that I think causes a lot of the homelessness, and it's sad to see the number rising. I've even worked in Riverside with addicts and stuff, and it's just I don't want to blame them, but we need places where they could heal and get help.
Yeah, and there's a lot about homelessness that I've learned over the past 2.5 years that is really hard to grasp. I was one of the people that just thought, probably 2 or 3 years ago, if they just got clean and got off drugs and booze and took a shower and maybe had a decent suit and some resume writing training, that's all they need, and maybe a kick in the butt, to get them started. And really, it's just not the way it is. And you mentioned like drugs and alcohol, and that is absolutely correct. But it's less of a causal relationship than it is connected. Like I've met 4 or 5 guys that'll tell you, I was clean and sober before I got on the streets, and just being on the streets because of job loss or emotional loss or whatever caused me to drink or self-medicate. So it's not so much that one necessarily causes the other, but that you're certainly correct in that they're pretty well tied together.
Right. Okay, so do you have anything you want to plug? Anything that you're looking for? Donations?
I'd like to ask Eric one thing before
Sure.
we try and raise some help for these people. We do have a San Bernardino County homeless count effort coming up. Could you share with Dan and the listeners about that count? I think that's Thursday, correct?
It is. It's Thursday, January 26th at the god-awful hour of 5:30 in the morning, starting from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We meet at 5:30, and what that concept is actually all throughout the nation. Every 2 years, the HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, sends us out to count people living on the streets. And there's questions we ask them, and unfortunately, the questions can be kind of invasive. But the whole point of doing it is that if we, let's just say, had 150 people on the streets in Upland, but our numbers showed that we only had 20, well, the amount of money, resources, grants, and help that we get from outside agencies is going to be geared towards 20, not towards the true 150 number. And so we're getting as many volunteers out there. We've trained them already. Quite frankly, it's probably too late in the game to volunteer at this point because you have to go through a safety training and all that sort of thing. And we dispatch them to different areas of the city to head out and count people on the streets.
Eric, I could ask Dan some of the questions, and he could maybe get the experience of what they're going to be. What it's
like. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
Dan, did you sleep outdoors, or in an abandoned building.
Do you have HIV? Have you ever been locked up on a 5150 hole? Dan, you already admitted that you're an alcoholic and a drug addict, so we've got that one covered.
Do you have any pets living with you now, Dan?
Yes, I do. I got a little
Yeah.
dog.
The questions, like I said, are really kind of invasive, unfortunately, but it's not to humiliate. It's because those specific characteristics, veterans, people that might have HIV, or of course we already touched on alcohol and substance abuse, that there are specific programs geared towards that. So if, we had a huge meth epidemic or something, but, very few facilities to handle that, then marking those answers would help us get more help in that area.
Eric, I think the residents of Upland are seeing some progress made. I know I'm hearing about it. For example, the park is cleaner now, and the police chief's working with the city manager. Can you talk about some of the success stories that you and your advocates have had maybe in the last few weeks about assisting families and or single people that are experiencing homeless?
Yeah, certainly. And before I do that, I'm glad you brought up the advocates, because those are our homeless advocate team. They're the people that are out there in the parks, in the washes, in the storm drains. So I definitely want to give a quick shout out to those folks, to Alan Cash, to Cindy Gavin, my wife, who's doing a lot of work there, to Christy Mack, the homeless advocate, not the adult movie star, of course. And Shirley and Ed, they're helpers. They're out there every day. I can guarantee Christy and Alan are out there stomping around in the rain right now, bringing people jackets and finding out, what data about them that they can pass back to the mothership so we can get them placed. But we had, to directly answer your question, we've had two pretty high-profile successes in just the past week. We had a guy who'd been on the streets for about 3 or 4 years, and he has some mental health issues, which make it difficult for him to get help or, get off the streets. But there's a fantastic organization that's just recently come to the county called Step Up on Second, and what they do is they find permanent supportive housing for these folks. And so he's got a move-in date, February 1st. This guy is officially off the streets. We're providing him with what's called some bridge housing, where basically we put him up in a hotel for a few days. Once we find out someone's going to go into permanent housing and that there's a plan for him, we can do that. And we had another lady who's 70 years old, and she was living in her car, and unfortunately ran into some difficulties with the car. And so rather than having this gal out on the streets, we were able at the kind of the 11th hour to find an all-women's home to put her in that's looking like a great housing effort. So those are two of the ones that have happened in the past week. Probably we can count another 3 or 4 more on top of that in the past month. And then, of course, we had some 2 gals that were in Memorial Park for about 12 or 13 years that we were able to find some housing for them, and they're doing great. In fact, one of them is starting to serve as a homeless advocate, which is really a key effort to the whole program, is working with your peers. They just trust people that have been there and done that more than the rest of us that are sitting up here above baseline.
Okay, just curious, how much role does, because I have here pro and cons, but how much role does the Upland Police Department play?
They really have built the model for us. They realized that really handcuffs aren't going to solve this problem, and that's a common phrase you hear all the time. We can't arrest our way out of this problem. But a more prevalent mindset that had taken over in the past is, well, let's help the ones that want help, and the rest just need to kind of move on down the road. And aside from the fact that you got to scratch your head and wonder, well, how does that actually work out? I kind of laugh at that mindset, because the people who say it kind of think they're really smart to have figured that out. And it's like, well, what if Rancho and Claremont and Montclair figured that out as well? Then what you get is kind of a race to the bottom to see which city can treat their homeless the crappiest so that they'll go to another city next to them.
This is a family show, Eric, so I think you can't say crappy. Is that right, Dan?
Crappy's fine.
Oh, sorry.
right.
Go
Well,
ahead.
We're on
Thanks
the
for
we're on the internet. You could actually even say shitty if you want. So
Okay, well, I'll keep it PG-13.
okay, I tried to
So-
keep my show pretty clean. Yeah.
So, not to dodge your question, that when Chief Brian Johnson really came to us with a lot of experience, he's our new police chief, a lot of experience in the Venice Pacific Beach area, realizing what works and what doesn't, and really what doesn't work is just harassing harassing the poop, harassing the stuff out of people until they leave. It just doesn't work. There's so many people on the streets, and this is what people don't realize, that probably 50 to 65% of our people on the streets grew up here. They don't want to leave because they grew up here. They have roots here. And so just treating them terribly isn't going to make them move on. What's going to make them move on is connecting with them, finding out about them, finding the resources that are available to help them, and moving them off the streets, which is exactly what the chief and his community resource officers, everyone calls them the Crows. I think it's a real shame. Not a single one of them have seen Game of Thrones to know what the Crows really are, the Watchers on the Wall. And so not a single one of them knows that. But anyway, those guys have done fantastic work. What the city is now realizing is, let's keep going with that fantastic work. Let's build on it. But let's try and do it with a team of people who are specialized to do that, like our community restoration team, our homeless advocates. And let's let the dudes with guns go back to doing things that dudes with guns do.
Yeah, I just want to also give a shout out to Christy Mack. She's a friend of mine, and when she's not helping the homeless, she's helping the animal shelters. So she's a good person.
Yeah, and when she's not helping the animal shelter, she's fighting bullying. And when she's not doing that, I don't know. Eventually, I assume she sleeps and eats and stuff like that, but I have no proof of that. Yeah.
What churches in Upland are helping the homeless? Are they playing any role in it?
Yeah, Calvary Chapel Upland has a great ministry that they're doing called I think it's called the Gleanings Ministry. They have a dinner once a month. I forget that guy. I know his first name's David. I picture him in my face. I can't remember his last name. But they're doing great work over there. They have transport. And then, of course, several other churches are doing individual, maybe like they might do a dinner or a lunch. But I'm glad you asked that question, and I'll keep this a short-winded answer.
I don't think that's possible.
I knew you were going to say that. And that is to say, each one of them is doing their own thing, but we need to kind of wrap that together as a larger, bigger effort in a way that preserves the strengths of what they're doing, but helps it be more of a unified deal. So we're going to be kicking an effort like that off over the next month to basically bring all the churches together and faith-based organizations to make sure that people aren't duplicating efforts and that we're using everybody's strengths.
Yeah, I know, Mike. I go to the Grove Theater, the
Yep.
fellowship at the Grove.
Yeah.
Bill Kinniston's church. And
good old Bill Kinnison.
yeah.
Gino Filippi, so good to hear from you, my friend.
I love your little impersonation of Bill. Do it again.
Well, Gino, I don't know if I can keep going with this or not. It's not like I have all the time in the world. Yeah. No, Bill's a fantastic guy. I used to sit on the Downtown Merchants board with him, and he's a great guy.
And he welcomes homeless into his theater Sundays, and we'll feed them not a huge breakfast, but donuts and coffee and water.
Well, and I'm glad you reminded me of that because I definitely need to connect with Bill, and I'm sure he would love to play a part.
Oh, yeah. No, Sundays at 10 a.m. is the best time to catch him. And also Sherry, his wife. They're very into this community. And, of course they are because, they own that theater.
Yeah. Hey, well, I want to get going here. But before I do, I'll give a little shameless plug to our guest, Mr. Filippi. I really appreciate his efforts. He doesn't like to take credit for much of anything, but you don't realize how much this guy does in the background, getting people connected.
He's bowing
and of course,
right now.
Yeah, and of course, Mayor Debbie Stone and the rest of the council. What's really incredible is every single one of them has stepped up in their way to support this effort. So this is the entire city council and the mayor saying that homelessness is not an issue. We're just going to leave for somebody else. We're going to do our part as a city, and they really are. So I'm very grateful.
Well, in that thought, can you share with us what you're going to bring to the council? I think you're coming to speak to the city council tomorrow. Briefly, your program, and then tell us about the name of the organization that you're working with the advocates on before you depart.
Yeah, we're bringing tomorrow really the presentation of what the proposed strategy should be for the city. If we're going to do this right, then we really need to say that our city, along with the federal government, state, and county governments, they've all declared this same vision, and that is that we need to do our part to end chronic homelessness. And I just put a little by 2020, give us a 4-year time span on that. Chronic homelessness are people that have been on the streets for 12 months or more. And so this coming Monday night at the council, we're going to present a working and I believe evidence-based strategy on how we're actually going to be able to pull that off. So we've got our team of folks together that includes the homeless advocates. We're officially called the Upland Community Restoration Team. And we're going to bring community restoration by ending chronic homelessness in 4 years. Or you get your money back. Ha! Just kidding. You don't get your money back. But it's because we're going to do it. So
cool.
I'm looking
Eric,
forward
thank
to
you
it.
very much for everything you do.
Yeah.
And your wife, she's extremely valuable, I know, to the Upland Police Department and these homeless outreach efforts we're all trying to make.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for your support and, of course, for the rest of the council. And glad to be on the show. So thanks for all the time.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey,
Of
what's
course.
the
Talk to you
score of
soon.
that football game?
I
know he doesn't watch football.
There's a football game.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about video games, I got you covered. But sports just doesn't work out.
You should stay around till 10 o'clock when the nerd show is on. You might like their show a little bit.
All right.
better than
Now
mine.
you're talking.
Give me one more.
All right.
Give me one more Bill Kinnison.
Oh, good night, gentlemen. It's time to go now. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in, Eric.
So you gonna play another song?
No. Not until another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
I'm just going to grill you. So what do you think of our new city council member there in Upland?
We have 2 new members,
Yeah.
right? Have you had Sid Robinson on yet?
No.
Sid's
I've met Sid. I haven't met the other lady with the shorter hair.
and Janice Elliott.
Janice Elliott,
We have
yes.
2 new members, and it's really it feels better there. I'm looking forward to working with all of them, and I'm just very, very encouraged with our new mayor, as you know.
Yeah, I am too. Hopefully there's some hope for Upland underneath the new mayor's reign and the new city council. Not everybody I wanted to won the elections in Upland, but being a resident of Rancho, I couldn't vote. But I lend my support, and I have a lot of friends in Upland, and people come to me because they really don't pay attention to local elections, like treasurer, school board, water board, city council. They just kind of just don't know what's going on. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think we're all occupied with so many challenges, if we have family and our work and trying to help out our community, it gets a bit overwhelming. In terms of Upland, we're making progress. We have a really cohesive group right now led by Mayor Stone, Council Member Carol Tim, Council Member Janice Elliott, Council Member Sid Robinson, and myself. But a great deal of kudos, in my view, goes to our city manager, Marty Thuvenel, who is our former police chief, retired in 2005. Marty served also as city manager several years ago. And he's led some community-based think tanks, if you will, committees, Fiscal Task Force Committee and others, to help us get a solid direction and move forward with some of the decisions that need to be made in Upland. And it's no secret we're financially strapped and have been for a number of years, which is a result of several issues that created that environment. But I think you're seeing now identification of the issues is very clear. Going forward, we've made several cuts in services, staffing. The city staff and department heads have pulled together, and so it's an aggressive attack now, if you will, on what not just faces Upland, but other small cities that are older, maybe have similar challenges as Upland does. You're in a great city in Rancho, of course. You've got a strong city council, a very public safety minded council, and I think several of our surrounding cities share that same mindset, and the communities in our area are growing and successful.
Okay, I was going to have a guest on tonight with you, Tammy Rapp. I don't know if you know her.
Yes, she's one of our downtown business owners, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right across the street from a place called Rad Coffee.
Yes.
Now, they've been robbed twice.
Correct.
Once at gunpoint, I believe. And it's very nervy scene for my friend Mark, who owns Pacific Wine Merchants, Corey Miller, who owns 6 Feet Under, and then the other businesses in the area. And her take on it, because I've had her on my show before, is that Upland is kind of ignoring the downtown and focusing on the colonies.
Well, first of all, I don't have details on the robberies that they've experienced. I know that the police have been involved with that, and it's unfortunate, of course, when any business is abruptly invaded like that. Fortunately, there haven't been any injuries in her case. I'm not aware of the discussion or the sentiment that Upland ignores certain parts of town. I do know that we're down on police officers, and I can get into that with you a little bit as we move through. Downtown is unique in that you have several different types of businesses. We just closed 3 illegal medical marijuana dispensaries last week.
Right, I read that.
And I think that was something Mark over at Pacific Wine Merchants and other businesses were concerned with. In this case, I understand that the landowner was cooperating with the city of Upland and the San Bernardino County Sheriff, so it made the effort a little bit more seamless, if you will, so that they could get in there, do the postings, and move them out. Downtown Upland has a merchants group. Historic Downtown Upland, HDU, is meeting, I believe, Tuesday evening to discuss some of these issues. For those of us that have grown up in Upland or that live there now, it's a little bit frustrating to see that part of town not making the progress that other parts of town are, but I'm hopeful with the addition of people that want to participate. For example, we have some stakeholders, property owners that want to get involved. The Upland Chamber is located down there, and they're very aggressive, and they're very pro-Upland. So we certainly haven't given up on downtown, and we're working as close as we can with our police department and our business owners.
Yeah. Have you checked out Polly's Pizza and Subs?
Good. Thanks for reminding us. Yeah.
That's good.
It sure is. And they've worked so hard there. I've met the proprietor a few times now.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah, it's good.
Uh-oh, someone's buzzing you.
Hey, do you have any calls in? I asked a couple of your pals to call in. Are they on the line?
No, nobody's on the line. People are so used to texting. That's why I keep my phone out and my laptop up, because one, I get my text, the other one I get on Facebook, because I get questions on Facebook, and then I get people texting me with questions. So it's kind of, people don't know how to use a phone anymore, hardly, you know. And I'm somewhat guilty of that too. I mean, I hate texting, especially because I misspell like really bad. Like, I don't know who my English teacher was in high school, Mrs. Smith, I believe, and now it's Lowell High School. 30-year reunion this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Terrific. Where are y'all meeting?
We don't know yet. It's in the works.
You know, the Cask and Cleaver hosts several local high school get-togethers. I think Upland has been down there, and Altaloma, and a few others.
That'd be good. I know the general manager there, George.
George is a good guy.
He's great.
Do you know he's a big Kiss fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, I did want to, before we break off of the homeless and the downtown issue, I did want to share with you some numbers about Upland Police. We have a new police chief now. He's been with us just over a year, Brian Johnson. And Chief Johnson came to us from LAPD, where he oversaw the Pacific Division that included Venice Beach. And why that's noteworthy is that Venice Beach has a large population of homeless families and individuals. So Chief Johnson brings a perspective of how to work with those people, and as Eric Gavin mentioned, to perhaps help the ones that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not overlooking if they're breaking laws and such, but offering a hand up to those that are wanting that. In addition, Upland Police Department has been experiencing loss of officers. We're down approximately 15 officers from where we were several years ago. So that's in 1995, for example, we had 87 officers, and today we have approximately 70. So that's difficult to maintain with the growth that Upland has experienced through added housing, the 210 freeway, and other areas of expansion as, again, smaller cities experience.
All right, we got a phone call. How you doing? Who's on the air?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Who's this?
This is Christy Mack. Who's this?
Uh-oh.
Christy Mack. This is Dan Rupp.
Hey, Dan, what are you doing?
Hanging out with Gino.
Oh, always good times.
Yeah.
I think your ears must have been burning because we had Eric Gavin on the air a few minutes ago, and he was singing the accolades of your help, servicing the homeless and
the animal shelter, the bullying, all the great things you do for the city. It's people like you, Christy, that make a difference.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm actually out and about right now in this weather, and just pulled up to Del Taco. There's a 54-year-old woman that was sleeping on the streets, but everything has been stolen at this point, so she literally has nothing. So I am over here doing an intake and seeing what we can do.
Christy, how did the lady reach out to you, or how did you learn about this lady?
Well, the homeless community is pretty connected as far as they all know one another. And another lady that we have been working with happened to just be coming through Del Taco to get something to eat, and she ran into her, saw her, started asking her questions, like if she was homeless and whatnot. And then they contacted me on my phone, and then I said that I was going to be over here so I can get an intake and then send it over to the team, and the team can get working on it.
Very good.
Very good. That's good to hear. I mean, it's people like you that just really do make a difference. And the Ladies of the IE, which is one of your organizations you belong to.
Yeah, I'm actually the founder. We've been around for a little longer than a year. September 30th was our 1-year anniversary.
Wow. Do you guys have a website you want to plug?
Yeah, actually our Facebook is much more current and up to date than our website, but that's okay because the website is actually being revamped right now. But it's www.ladiesoftheie.org or facebook.com/ladiesoftheie.
Yeah, Facebook is an easy way to, because everybody's on it. So it's like an easy way to get your site up, and it's easy to update and everything else.
Well, yeah, not just that. When people are making donations and whatnot, they want to know, what it's being used for. So anytime that we have a specific story that I'm requesting for donations for, I can give updates to everybody so they can see, how things progress. Just like we had a case, an urgent case, a couple of days ago. It was a 70-year-old lady that was had her car stolen, and she was living in her car up until the point that it was stolen. And she'd never been, out in the elements. Obviously, being in a car, if you can still lock your doors and roll up your windows, but to be outside in the elements for the first time at 70 was something that she was not equipped to handle. So, we put out an urgent call and got a couple nights for her at the hotel, and then put the paperwork through to the team. The team found her a place, and she was placed as of 2 days ago.
Christy, wow. Do you see, in addition to elderly people, as the ladies you just mentioned, do you see younger adults with kids? And that's got to be tough. Could you share a bit about that?
Yeah, we just had a case today, a woman with 4 kids that is about to lose where she's at. And yeah, it's really hard because, you don't want to break up any families, obviously, because that's going to just kind of really take out any kind of hope. But so you do what you can to make sure you can work at finding resources that's going to help the family as a whole, because that's, I think, really important, especially when you're trying to, get back on your feet, that you have your family unit there as your, as a support system. You help build each other up. But there's a lot, there are a lot of families, especially because of the rent increases are not matching with the wage, the wages are these days, and there's a huge gap between that. I mean, to try and find affordable housing anywhere these days is extremely difficult with what everybody is making. And that is, I think, one of the big contributions to why we're seeing an increase in homelessness. That, and then, you've got what is it, Prop 47 or whatever, well, and which I am actually for, but the problem is that was a twofold scenario where, you're going to release these people because they don't really need to be in jail. They need to have some type of rehabilitation. But the problem is that there was no place or no organizations or nothing set up for these people to go into once they were released. So, and that stage of that is barely starting to get rolling now. Well, we've had 2 years of people being released with nowhere to receive them, so they're on the street. So in theory, it was a great idea, and what actually happened, it was a nightmare. So, that is another reason why we're having some of the issues that we're having. But, it takes a community, and it's most definitely not one individual person. I'm part of a terrific team, and we all are really dedicated and work our butts off to try and do what we can.
Okay, this is kind of off the tracker, but what are you guys, do you guys do anything with the Vets Special, your organization?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's actually more of a, I think it's nationwide, actually, at this point, but anytime that you encounter a vet that's homeless, you can call 1-800-AID-4-VET. I'm almost positive that's the number, but it's 24 hours, and they will dispatch somebody immediately, on the spot. And that they'll go and get them, and sometimes they'll be able to provide at least some type of temporary shelter, but at least it gets them going with a caseworker to get their VA housing voucher rolling, and so that way they can be placed first and foremost above anybody.
Christy, do we have an approximate number of how many people are registered with your group that need homeless services? Not specifically veterans, but as a total. Do we have an estimate on that?
I believe the latest count was where we've contacted or have at least on our log about 190 people, and from that we've got maybe a little under half that have already been housed or placed, or at least in a place where they don't need immediate services. I would say probably a good 70 to 80 people probably need immediate services. And that's just me going off the top of the brain. I'd have to look to actually really give you some better numbers.
Thank you. I shared with Dan, and Eric gave us a little bit more about the count that's coming up next Thursday, the homeless count. And you're going to be helping with Mayor Stone and City Manager Thuvenel. Have you participated in those counts before?
Last year I was signed up to go, but no, I ended up, there was an issue at home that took precedence, and I wasn't able to make it last year. But I've talked to a lot of people that have done them before, and I know that it's somewhat awkward because you're going and approaching people and asking some pretty invasive questions.
Eric shared that. That was a little bit awkward. Plus, it's so early in the morning. But, but that's a way for the county to gain information so that we can offer more resources.
Absolutely. It's necessary.
It's throughout the county, correct?
Yeah. This one, I believe, is mandated right now for through the county.
Very good.
All right, Chris.
And, yeah. All right, well, you kids have fun.
No, don't go. Do you have any questions for Dan?
I don't know, but I got Damien here with me. You guys want to talk to Damien for a minute so I can go talk to this lady?
Yes, put him on, please.
Okay, hold on.
Hello.
Damien, God bless you both. You're out in a rainstorm helping some people that really need some help. So,
yeah, we do what we can. We can only do so much, but it's good that we can do something. I mean, it's terrible out here right now. I mean, we've seen at least 10, 15 people today.
Oh my gosh.
Completely drenched and with nowhere to go. So
yeah,
the little warm clothing that we can offer and jackets and blankets and things of that nature is little to none. But I mean, we have to try to do something. So.
Yeah, you have to. I wouldn't want to be out in this weather. I didn't even want to come into the studio today.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad, but
But I already told Gino I'd come in, so I had to come in.
Yeah, I understand.
I should have made him pick me up in his big old fancy car.
I thought he was going to, obviously we've transitioned now away from the homeless, but I thought he was going to ask me, like, what kind of car do you drive, Gino? So I know you're getting to that. It's an old Ford Explorer with snow tires.
Well, you need them in this weather.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So
I'll ask you and Gino both. I've gone to Memorial Park and fed the homeless with sack lunches. Is that a good thing to do, or is there something better I could do with my resources?
Well, the thing is that as of right now, pretty much Memorial Park is null and void as far as, I mean, you might see a few people, but the police have been transitioning people away from the park. So, I mean, but anything that you can do, sack lunches, personally, our organization, we don't really do mass feedings, just simply because there's no way for us to, I mean, we'll give you food if you're hungry, but there's no way for us to try to figure out what it is that we can really do to help you. I mean, that's something that helps and aids temporarily, but I'm saying we're trying to transition into to being able to help you really get off the streets. So we personally don't do the mass feedings, but we do participate with some of the other nonprofits and the other volunteers and advocates that do. I mean, the people are hungry, so anytime that someone's hungry and you give them food, I feel it's a good idea.
Damien?
But just us personally, we haven't been doing the mass feedings.
Damien, the churches and faith-based organizations are organizing feedings at their property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's helping take the pressure off of the city and or park staff and police, so that's not taking place in the park.
Right. And I kind of agree with, anytime that you bring them all into the park at one time, I mean, it's going to be some arguing, some riffraff, because everybody doesn't get along. And I mean, some of these people have severe issues and problems, but our thing is that we want to try to figure out how we can help you in the long run, how we can help you better yourself, how we can help you just, everybody is not going to be a productive member of society, but everybody should still at least have the chance and the opportunity to survive, so
yeah,
that's what we're pushing for.
Yeah. I tithe to two churches, because I go to two churches. I go to the Grove in Upland, and then I also go to Water of Life in Fontana.
Okay.
Water of Life is a mega church. I mean, it's huge if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, I've been there during the time when I don't know what, it was something that happened, and it was a lot of people that were camped out there. We went and gave out blankets and things of that nature.
Yeah, and they have a food bank here in Rancho, and and they feed a lot of people. The only thing is, guess what? We're going to pray with you. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You'll get a free box of food.
if you offer a meal, you know, I mean, even if you don't believe, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with praying. So
Yeah.
everybody, you know, some people don't really want help, man. So you have to really go in and try to figure out what the issue is, because something caused them to be in this situation. I mean, it's not always drugs. It's not always. Sometimes it's just misfortune. But the thing is, you have to find out what led them to this, so you can try to figure out a way how to help them to not transition into that anymore, to be able to move forward. You know, like Christy, I heard Christy speaking on the veterans last year. That they pretty much had a campaign to where they put the veterans pretty much first to be housed, and you know that helps out the veterans. But I mean, it's more than people out here in the streets that need help than just veterans. But you know, you can't take away from the veterans because they fought for their country. I mean, they should have something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At least
Well said, Damien.
Well said, Damien.
Terrific.
But you know, a lot of people think that we do the things that we do for the wrong reasons, and that's not the reasons that we do them. We do them because that's what God put in our hearts to do. You know, I don't mind like people are saying, well, you guys can do it, but we're not going to do it. Well, we never asked you to do it. You know, we're going to continue to do what we do because that's what we feel needs to be done. And our success rate, we've helped a lot of people. You know, we haven't been able to help everybody, but I mean, it takes time, and people have to have the chance. What?
Yeah.
Christy's trying to take the phone from me.
Yeah, if you want help, you have to, you know, if you need help, you have to want it. When I went to rehab, I went with a plastic grocery sack and a pair of sweats and a change of underwear and a change of socks, and that was it. And
That was it, huh?
Yeah, I went to Whiteside and Riverside and just said, hey, I need help, because I wanted it, you know, but you have to want it to get it, you know, and they did. They helped me. They still help me to this day. I spend every Friday there helping other guys now.
Right.
So.
Something that I've seen and I've learned that, like, even once some people you're able to help them, I mean, they've been in the elements for so long, it's like it's surreal to them, you know. I mean, even though they know that it's actually happening, or it's like they still can't believe it. So, it's good to try to, you know, do what we can, do the best we can, and not enable. That's a big ticket item, because, I mean, we're not trying to give nobody a free ride. It's not about a free ride. But if you're hungry, you're hungry. But if you don't want to do better, if you choose to be out here in the elements and do this, then there's nothing that we can do. I mean, there's other people that do want help. So that's the people that we're trying to do our best to try to help them, you know?
All right, Damon. Hey, man, thank you, and thank Christy for me.
I will do.
We're going to take off. My engineer has a hell of a drive to go up the Cajon Pass today on this horrible weather. So
I understand.
Big
we
Mike
appreciate
will take me out with the song.
Damien, thank you.
Thanks, Damien.
Be careful.
And Gino, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
Most definitely. You guys have a wonderful evening.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right, Gino. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
We'll try to bring the mayor of Upland in.
I'd love to.
Debbie Stone, she'd love to be here with you.
Yeah.
And Big Mike, thank you. Have a safe journey home.
Oh,
We've got a nice bottle of red wine here for you.
Oh, man, I can't wait to get home and drink it.
It's going to be a long drive. You may not make it home.
Down on